and welcome or welcome back to Cooking It Real. If you're new here, my name is Kathy and I'm so glad to have you in the kitchen today. Today I want to share with you one of my favorite comfort food recipes, pot roast. I don't have a lot of childhood memories of having pot roast, but I did make it a lot for my children when they were growing up. And I'll tell you what, if you have two teenage boys in the house, you can go through a lot of pot roast. What I want to do today is something a little bit different than I used to do when the kids were at home, because they didn't have that adventurous of a palate and they like things to be the way they always were. So today I'm just going to put a little twist on my favorite pot roast. Let's take a look at those ingredients. Let's start with the star of the show, our pot roast. This is a chuck roast. Actually, it's two chuck roasts, but together they only total about 3 pounds. And so really they're about 1.5 pounds each. Aren't they adorable? Now I will tell you that when the boys were at home, I would have two 3-pound pot roasts and I would cook 6 pounds of pot roast at a time, and it did not last very long. But now that it's just Will and I, one of these will be plenty for a meal with leftovers, and then the other we'll put it in the freezer, slice it up, have it for sandwiches. It'll be awesome. All right, what else goes with my pot roast? Well, today I'm going to use some carrots, celery, I've got some mushrooms, an onion, some garlic, and an apple. And for my liquid, I have a 1/2 cup here of hot water that I mix with some beef bouillon. I don't have any beef stock, so I'm using bouillon. I need about 2 cups of water altogether. So we're going to add all these different ingredients in to equal about 2 cups. I have some Worcestershire sauce, a little bottle of apple juice. This is unsweetened apple juice. I have a can of, which one is this? Can of diced tomatoes, can of tomato sauce. And then for my seasonings and flavorings, I have some black pepper, some salt, some brown sugar, a bay leaf, a little bit of cinnamon, some ground ginger, and this is 1.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I also have salt and pepper, and now we're going to get to the seasoning of the meat. There are lots of ways that you can make a pot roast. You can make it in a slow cooker. You can make it in your Instant Pot pressure cooker. You can make it in a Dutch oven in the oven. You can make it in a Dutch oven on the stove top. Today, I'm going to be making it in my Dutch oven on the stove top. And it's going to take us a couple of hours to get this beef nice and tender. So the first thing we have to do is season the beef. And we want to season it aggressively with salt and pepper. So I have my Redmond's Real Salt, and I'm just going to give this a generous seasoning on this side, and then same with the pepper on this side. You can use a steak seasoning if you have, like, what do they call it, Montreal steak seasoning. That would be great on this. Now we're going to just flip it over and season the second side. Do my non-meaty hand now. Okay. And because this is going to cook so long, that's why you want to make sure you get it good and seasoned right up front. And then no matter which style of cooking you're using, crock pot, Instant Pot, Dutch oven, stove, or oven, you need to sear the meat next. And what that's going to do for you, it's going to put a beautiful brown crust on it, and it's going to seal in some juices, and it's going to give you lots of extra flavor. So no matter what you're going to do not skip this step. Okay, before we get to searing, let's get our liquids ready. Like I said before, I want about 2 cups of liquid. I might need a little bit more, it depends, but I want to mix all these together and see what we have. So I have my 1/2 cup of water with my beef bouillon, and now this is 1.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. That goes in. I've got my Worcestershire sauce, and to that I am not going to measure. I'm going to measure with my heart. I'm going to give it that's probably a good tablespoon, I would say. I have my can of diced tomatoes, and I have the lid off, but I'm going to keep the lid in there, and I'm just going to strain the juice in. So we're going to count that towards our liquid quota. Okay. I have my little bottle of apple juice. I'm going to pour in about, I'm going to pour that all in. Now I'm at 2 cups. All right, so what I have left is a can of tomato sauce, and I think we're good. So we're going to use this liquid to deglaze the pan after we do our sear. I've let my pan warm up on medium high for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to add, I'm just going to skim the bottom with some canola oil. That should be enough. And we want to sear all sides of this chuck roast, of these 2 chuck roasts, I should say. By all means, if you want, you can just use one. Put this down here. Put this down here. And these 2 main sides are the ones we're going to concentrate on, although we are going to do the fat sides all the way around. But we want to give it like a good 4 or 5 minutes on each big side. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. Turn it over. Look at that crust. Beautiful. Give it another 4 minutes. Let's turn this on its side. Get that side. And this side. Give that a couple minutes. Woo! Now this side. Do a little bit on the end. Give it a sear. This end. Let it sit on this side. Give this end. And sear on this side. All right. You want to be careful that you don't get things burning in the bottom. You want them nice and toasty, but you don't want them burned. All right, so I'm going to remove the meat to a clean plate. And now we're going to deglaze. Heads up, people. Be careful. We're going to take our liquid. Turn it down a little bit. Turn it down a lot, actually. Woo! Delightful. Now we're going to use our tongs. We're going to scrape up the bottom. At this point, we're going to add in our seasonings. Everybody in the pool. And if I didn't tell you, I will put a list up in the screen of how much of each of these I used. I can't remember if I told you or not. All right. Okay, now the meat goes back in. Woo! Careful now. Get that bay leaf out of my way. Now I got the heat turned down. I'm going to add my tomato sauce. And my tomatoes that I've already drained. There we go. And what we want is the liquid to cover the meat, not cover the meat, but to be at least up halfway. Halfway up the sides of the meat. Okay, so we're going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to reduce it to a simmer, and then we're going to cook it low and slow. And I'm going to move it off the big burner once we get it up to a boil. Here we go. One more thing I want to add right now. Let's see. I want to toss in a handful of garlic cloves. I'm just going to leave them whole. Now, when the boys were here, they would die if they found a whole clove of garlic on their plate, but Will and I kind of like that. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so we get that coming up to a boil. Let me give it a little bit of a stir. I'm gonna turn this front burner off and I'm gonna push it back to a smaller burner back here. Okay, and we got our lid, and we'll see you in a couple hours. All right, let's get our veggies ready. I'm going to save this apple to cut until I'm ready to put it in so it doesn't go brown. I'm going to put these vegetables in at about the 1 hour point. So we got an hour to get this ready. Let's do it. Okay, so there you have it. We have our onion, carrot, and celery, a classic yet chunky mirepoix. And we have some mushrooms that have been quartered, and the apple that we're going to cut up later. Now, if you don't want to add any vegetables, you don't have to. If you want to add some of these vegetables and not others, you do you. I know my sister Teresa does not do mushrooms, so she would definitely not be doing this. But you make it the way you like it. Well, that didn't hardly take any time at all to get those veggies prepped. What are we going to do with the rest of the time? Well, there's always laundry. Nah. I got an idea. Let's make something that I've never made before and make it for the first time together. What do you think? What are we going to make? How about some Amish egg noodles? Wouldn't that go great with our pot roast? Ooh, let's do it. I picked this recipe because it said it was easy. So let's put it to the test. See just how easy it is. First thing we need to do is crack 3 eggs into a large bowl. Then we want to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I am going to add, this is not in the recipe, but I'm just going to do it because I just want to. I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. And that's going to give my noodles more of a yellow color. Because these are not the farm fresh eggs. These are store-bought eggs. And we're supposed to whip this up until it's frothy. All right. That looks frothy. Now for the flour. All right, the recipe says I need 2 cups, more or less, of all-purpose flour. I'm going to put 1 in to start. And I'm going to get my second one ready. And I'm going to start mixing this up a little bit. I'm going to use my Danish whisk that I use for my sourdough. I think this will work good. And I'm going to be kneading it in the bowl. So that's what the recipe said to do. So we want to add flour until it makes a dough. See, it's coming together nice and thick. Let's add at least half of that. And I think it's one of those recipes that don't, give you precisely what to do, because I think we've talked about this before. Flour is kind of a capricious substance, and it can hold moisture differently on different days, depending on the humidity and all kinds of things like that. Sometimes I think it just likes to be difficult. Oh, look it, see? That's kind of sticky. I know it's already sticky, but I'm going to switch to my hands now. Yeah, it's very sticky, but I don't mind. It's fun. I think this is going to work out good. And I have made pasta before, but always with my KitchenAid mixer. And I have, a dough hook on that. And I have a pasta roller and all that kind of stuff. But we're just going to do this one. Just do it by hand. Now my good friend Corrine is probably having a heart attack right now, saying, just don't scrape the bowl with your beautiful nails. Okay, Corrine, I'll try not to. Oh, that's coming together good. Let's see if I can try to scrape some of the stuff off the sides a little bit. Woo, did you see that? A little chunk went flying off my finger to the other side of the kitchen. That's always fun. All right, I'm trying to keep one hand clean. Let's see what we got here. This is nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this out on the counter. And we're going to let it dry a little bit. And then we're going to cut it into shapes. And I'm already starting to think of what kind of shapes I want to use. You know, I don't want to make like spaghetti. And I do like a nice wide egg noodle. How wide? I don't know. Now, once we roll it out, it has to dry on one side for 45 minutes. And then you flip it over and dry it on the other side for like 30 minutes. So I got plenty of time to decide. And I might wind up doing laundry after all, because I just get too much time on my hands, unless I can think of something else to make, because I'd much rather be cooking than cleaning. Anyone who knows me knows that is true. Ooh, this is feeling nice. All right, I think I'm gonna put some flour on the counter, clean my hands a little bit, and see what happens when I start rolling it out. I'm going to keep this bowl handy though, just in case. So you saw that I had started with 2 cups, or I loaded 2 cups. I put 1.5 in, I would say. So this other half, I'm just going to sprinkle right out here. I'm going to sprinkle some on here, and then I'll put some over top. And I don't think it would hurt at all. All right. Oh, beautiful. Look at how nice and yellow that is. I hope you can see it. Sometimes my videos, when I watch them on my TV, it seems like the yellow kind of blows out a little bit. So I don't know. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Nice, soft. Ooh. Does it say how thin to make it? Yeah, it just says roll it out until thin. So I guess you got to kind of decide for yourself how thin you want it or what. Now, a lot of times when you're working with dough, you got to take your time. And mostly that's because the dough, the flour, needs to relax. Sometimes if you're rolling things out, it'll start, see it springing back. I don't know if you can see that if you're close enough, but we got plenty of time, people. We can let this sit for a few minutes and keep on rolling. How's my nails? They look okay? Thank you, Corrine. What we're going to do is, after this is all dried and all cut and everything, we're going to get some water on the boil, and we're going to cook these up. Now, you know, I may wait until we're pretty much done with the pot roast. Oh, look at you. But yeah, we are going to cook them first, and we're going to serve pot roast over it. Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. That is excellent. Yeah, I think this is going to work. All right, I'm just going to let that relax for just a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to come back and probably give it one more roll and see what happens. After simmering for an hour, it's time to add the vegetables. Onion, carrot, celery, in. Now add the apple, I left the peel on, and the quartered mushrooms. You can lift out your chuck roasts to get the vegetables more incorporated, give everything a good stir, and then we're going to put it back on the simmer for at least 1 more hour or until tender. Right. So we did 45 minutes on one side, flipped it over, and did 30 minutes on the other side. and it's not dry, but it's kind of dry. So now we're going to cut it, and I figured I was just going to kind of freestyle it. So I got my little ravioli cutter here. You've seen me use this if you've watched any of the videos of the sourdough crackers, but I'm just going to kind of square things off a little bit. Take these big chunks over here. Let's see. It's all good. There's no wrong way, I don't think. But I'm going to try to get some decent looking ones. Let's go like this. All right. So let's see. I'm going to make kind of maybe about a 1/2 inch wide. I'm going up and down like so. And they don't have to be super straight. In fact, I couldn't probably make them super straight if I tried. All right, that's about half of it. Let me see if I can slide this part over. And now we're going to go this way. I'm going to make them about well, that's probably about 1.5 inches in length. But you know, honestly, you do you. All right, and I'm going to just put them on a sheet tray over here. I kind of dusted on both sides with flour, so hopefully we won't have a lot of stickage. And I'm not going to cook up a ton of them. I'm going to freeze some of these. And just like when I do my sourdough crackers, I usually like to go one way, then the other way. If you don't have one of these ravioli cutters, you can use a pizza cutter. You can use a sharp knife. Pretty much anything goes. Got our water up to a boil. Gonna add a little salt. And we're going to put in our noodles. There we go. Once it boils, we're going to reduce it down to a low boil or a hearty simmer, and we're going to simmer them for 20 to 25 minutes. While we're waiting for that to come up back up to a boil, let's take a quick peek at our, oh baby, look at that. Doesn't that look good? Oh, it smells amazing. Oh yeah. It's been about 3 hours. So as soon as these noodles are ready, we're going for it. Oh, it's just like falling apart. I love it. Okay, keep you warm. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that looks gorgeous. Hot and steamy and succulent. Oh, it's been a while since I've had a pot roast, but I can't wait to try this. Ooh, smell-o-vision, where are you? Look at that. Gorgeous. Noodles are cooked for about 25 minutes. I'm going to take some of this sliced pot roast, put it right here. Oh, now there's a couple of things you can do here. I'm going to just get a little bit of veg, put it right on my plate like so. Now you can take the sauce, the stock, and you can put it in like a stock defatter, and that way it will get the fat off, or you can just sort of skim it off the top. I'm just going to take a little bit of the stock and just put it over the noodles like so. Oh, so good. Now it's time to taste. Okay, let's taste. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. And it's hot. Don't know how to hold it so you can see. Let's taste some of this noodles. Mmm. Mmm. Very soft. Awesome with the juice. I cooked them, like I said. The recipe said 20 minutes. I cooked them for 25. If you have them rolled out thinner, 20 might be fine. If they're a little thicker, it might need to go 30. But you just check it and make sure. See what you think. All right, now let's see. A little bit of veg. Let me take a piece of this apple. Mmm. So sweet. Celery. Mmm. Hot, 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 hot. Mmm. Delicious, tender, but still a little bit, got a little bit to it. Now, let's see if I can get oh, here's a good piece of pot roast. I'm going to dunk it in the juice, get it all nice and juiced up, and let's see what we got. Come on, baby, get on, get on. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Perfectly tender. Went about 3 hours. If you wanted to, you could take the juice, the broth, the soup, whatever you want to call it, and take everything out, all the vegetables, all the veggies and the meat, and you could thicken it if you wanted to, make it more like a gravy and less like a au jus. But I like it just like this. Goes great with the noodles. Goes great with the veg, with the meat. Oh, I think this is a hit. And I learned how to make a new kind of noodle. So there you go, win-win. Thanks everybody for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I hope to see you on the next Cooking It Real. Bye everybody.